Hey, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Margie Mansure. I'm an extension agent with North Carolina Cooperative Extension, and my specialty is nutrition and foods. Today we're going to make an easy greens cheese bake. One of the best things about summer to me is the availability of fresh, locally grown greens. Look at these greens that I purchased from a farm in North Caldwell. This beautiful kale. It looks so beautiful and fresh. If you have a garden, that's a great way to get your fresh greens, but I like to purchase from the farmer's market and from local growers since I don't have a garden. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to cook greens in a crock pot. She would cook them all day. She would add a big slab of fat back. And I've got to tell you, they tasted really good. That was the only way that I knew how to cook greens for a long time. I didn't realize that there are so many different ways that you can be creative with green cookery, and they add color, they add flavor, texture, and lots of health benefits to your daily routine. So today I would like to share with you a recipe called Easy Greens Cheese Bake. So with this recipe you can use any type of cooking green. So I have kale. You could use collard greens, you could use spinach, Swiss chard, turnip greens, just whatever you have. We're going to start with a pound or less. So I've washed these greens, and the way I like to cut them, these are pretty nice because they're not too wide. Sometimes they're really big or they can be curly. So I just roll them up kind of like a cigar, and I'm going to use my chef's knife because it's big, right? So I'm going to use that to chop them with. Cut off the ends, and I'm going to coarsely chop these. So you go across, and then I'm going to turn. Once I get down here, I'm going to turn my cutting board and then cut them this way, right? Really simple. So pretty coarsely chopped. See how that is? So the first thing I'm going to do is cook these greens a little bit before we bake them. So with these are pretty hearty. So I'm just going to bring water to a boil, which actually I've already done that. I've got my greens already cooked, but I brought the water to a boil and then put the greens in, turned it down to a simmer, and cooked these for about 10 minutes. Now if I had spinach, I would only cook for maybe 2 minutes because they're a much more delicate green. Okay, so since we've already done that, here are our greens. We're going to put together our concoction here for our cheese bake. So we're starting out with some bread that's been cubed. I've got 1 cup of cubed bread. So this is a great way to use stale bread, just in case you might have some on hand, but you don't have to use stale bread. It's not a requirement. I'm going to crack 4 eggs. So again, I got these eggs from a local producer, and they always taste nice and fresh. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt to my eggs. I'm gonna whip them up a little bit, add the milk, 1 cup of milk. Kind of like scrambling eggs, right? Simple. Okay, so add that to our cubed bread. Then we'll put in our greens. This is quite a few greens, up to 1 pound you can put in here. Now, if you put 1 pound, I've got to say it's going to be pretty thick with greens. So a 1/2 pound to 1 pound works. It's a versatile recipe. Okay, so now we have green onion. I just sliced these up, a 1/2 cup of those. A lot of people grow those in their gardens, and they're definitely available at markets. Okay, and the way this dish got its name is the cheese, right? Easy Greens cheese bake. So I'm going to put about 1.5 cups of whatever, you can use any cheese you like. I'll save a little bit for the top, okay? So we'll just mix that thoroughly. So I like cheddar cheese. Italian cheese would be good. Italian blend. I think Swiss cheese would be excellent, whatever kind you like. So one of the things about greens is, of course, you know they have health benefits. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that greens have vitamins. But there's really a lot more to it than that. They have a lot of potassium, one of the highest vegetables as far as potassium goes. You might think, well, why should I worry about potassium? Well, you know, a lot of people have high blood pressure, and potassium works to counter the sodium or the salt that you eat. And we love salt, right? So you can balance it with the potassium, and it will help keep your blood pressure at a healthy level, okay? Which is important for stroke prevention, healthy heart. Okay, so I have this baking pan that I have already sprayed, and I'm just gonna put this, our concoction here, in it. I've already preheated my oven to 375. So this is sort of a quiche without the crust. It might even be called a strata, technically. An egg dish with the bread and cheese. Now you don't have to necessarily use greens for this recipe. I've cooked it before if you've got tomatoes. It's excellent with tomatoes. So here we are, we have to have more cheese. And I've served this to children when I've offered school programs, and most all of them really like this. So this is a great way to get your kids to enjoy greens. Okay, so here is what the casserole looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the oven. And here's what it looks like when it's all cooked. It smells really nice. So you could have this as a main dish. Actually, I had it last night, and we had it for 4 people, so we just cut this in 4s, and then we had some hash brown potatoes with that, and it was really delicious. Or you could have this as a side dish if you wanted it, along with other foods. So just to talk a little bit more about the benefits of eating greens. We know that greens have a lot of magnesium. Magnesium has been shown to help your insulin work better in your body. So people who eat at least a serving a day have a lower chance of getting diabetes than those who eat no greens. So a number of studies have shown that. And then another thing that's cool about them is, you know how we say you're supposed to eat your carrots to keep your eyes healthy? Well, greens work in the same way. They have beta carotene, which is good for your eyes. Also a compound called lutein, which helps prevent cataracts. So it lessens your risk of developing those. So I guess that's all I have to say about greens today, and I hope you enjoy the recipe.